Hi folks, Gino the Painting Acolyte here. As I mentioned in my last video, I like to collect Grey Knights. Grey Knights are cool because you get to be a guy who likes Space Marines, and, 40k Space Marines, But you get to have some cooler, more unique, more interesting stuff going on. However, there is one caveat. Okay, there's a few. A lot of the models look kind of dumb and dumpy and weird. In my last video, I already addressed some of the ways to fix some of the less good, modern-looking Space Marines that come with the army. But there is one model that is far more sinister, far more challenging, far more evil than any of the other models in the army. The Nemesis Dreadknight. Nemesis Dreadknights are awesome. They're these giant, mobile, walking mech suits with a guy in it, and you fight demons, and it's huge, and it's got big magic weapons, and it shoots a lot. It's just that they look dumb as hell. I'm sorry, but just look at this. Look at this guy. Look at this man in a big armored suit, and he's just strapped into it like he's just like a child in one of those like baby carriers that you wear on the front of your chest when you're like on a walk with your newborn. It's just that it's a guy who's already like a turbo augmented super soldier, who's in like super armor, who's strapped to the outside of a giant super mech suit. It's like, what's going on here? There's even a little like diaper cod piece. Just look at that. It's awful. It says like Titan on it, on his like diaper. Like, why? It is quite simply a rite of passage for anyone who collects or plays Dreadknights and cares about, modeling and converting or anything like that, to figure out what the hell to do with the Nemesis Dreadknight to make it look as cool as the lore and the rules for it are. There are like easy to make conversion kits that people make and you could like buy or 3D print, or people like 3D print these whole proxies that look like the same thing, but it's different. But I didn't really want to follow that route. I wanted to go the more traditional route of kitbashing because I'm a glutton for punishment and I like kitbashing a lot. And I wanted something that's super unique and individual and that only I would have. It's a pretty common theme amongst people who, kitbash and collect Grey Knights to mash Dreadnoughts and Dreadknights together. Yeah, I know, it's 40k. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I did the same as that. So let's go ahead and dive into it. As with all kits, it's good to look through the instructions, do some dry fitting and building of some basic parts before you move on to more advanced stuff. I started assembling some things and then moved on to the dry fit stage. I'm replacing the front part of the Dreadknight, where Brother Diaper stands, with the front panel of a Blood Angels Dreadnought Librarian. It's got a cool wizard vibe and looks pretty metal, and once you get rid of the Blood Angel specific stuff, the detailing really fits the Grey Knights. Plus, it comes with a bunch of extra front panels that I can use for other kitbashing projects, like more Dreadknights. In order to get the chest plate to fit, a number of parts needed to be trimmed and worked on, sanded, and so forth and so on. So there's a lot of noodling around with different pieces when it comes to this build, but it kind of fits into place. You just have to do a little work to get it to actually sit right. Luckily, I had a lot of other bits on hand that will come in handy in this build, adding extra details and using various armor plates to cover up odd sections or gaps where things just wouldn't really look right. With the torso roughly figured out, I moved on to the legs. Now again, since I'm a glutton for punishment and I'm dramatic, I wanted a more dynamic pose for my Dreadknight than the standard build. The legs, as they're built, can only really be set apart without really any interest to them. It took a bit of thinking, but I eventually settled on a sort of bent knee, standing on a rock or skull or something pose, holding an arm out as if to signal the army forward. This would mean that I need to cut and repose the joints in one of the legs, as well as one of the arms. With a lot of glue and some back and forth, I eventually got the legs to a place I was happy with. For the outstretched arm, I had to cut the elbow joint, and then I stuck a plasticard rod into the arm holes, that sounds violent, to serve as a support to keep the arm outstretched. I used some green stuff to try and fill some gaps and secure some things. This ended up being somewhat unnecessary in some spots, but, whatever. To give the chest panel a flush look and hide some seams, I painstakingly measured and traced and cut, traced, measured, traced, cut, and cut, traced, cut some plastic art sheet to make it look more like the chest panel was supposed to be on there, not something that was just stuck on there. With some additional greebling and filling out of details, adding some armor panels here and there, the build was done. This was my first big vehicle build, and one of the most intricate builds and kit patches I've done. And while there's definitely a lot I would do differently next time, I'm very happy with how it turned out, and I'm pleased with the uniqueness of my Dreadknight. I'm really excited to build out the base and get this guy painted up. Nervous, but excited. And that's it, everyone. That's the Dreadknight build. If there's anything that you would do differently, or any other thoughts, comments, or whatever that you have on this build or this video, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. If you like the video, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, call your parents. You should call your parents anyway. I'm Gino, the Painting Acolyte, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.